My name is Jay Strande. I am the founder of Qualified Crane Training. I got into the crane business after owning several other businesses. I got in the crane business in 2012. Worked my way up through the ranks in a large crane company. Eventually became the regional sales manager for this company, where my prime responsibility was to sell crane training and safety. Um, Enjoyed it, excelled at it, had a amazing passion for training and safety. One day in 2018, I decided there's a way I could do this better, and I can make this more cost effective for customers. So I made the decision to start Qualified Crane Training, and we went. We the first day we were open was August 1st, 2019. Um,
So from there, that first day, were you doing the training then yourselves as well? So who
I
else was
was
helping you in that?
I was on the sales side of it. I had an original partner. His name is Tom. He was doing the training side of it. So basically, we were two guys in a crane.
Okay.
After we had a pretty good start in 2019, then COVID hit in February of 2020. That put the kibosh on pretty much everything for about 6 or 7 months. But I was in talks with Stellantis at that time, and that was actually the first big customer that we landed. Stellantis. We trained over 1,500 people at Warren Stamping, Sterling Stamping, Kokomo, Indiana, Belvedere, Illinois, and Brampton, Ontario. In April of 21, Eric and I go way back, many years. I've always been a big fan of Eric. He's very knowledgeable, very probably the best trainer I've ever seen in my life, and wanted him on this staff. He needed to be part of this. If anybody in the world, out of anybody in the world, he was the guy that I wanted part of this company. So in April of 2021, Eric came on as an owner, a third owner of the company. And since as soon as he got on, things really started taking off. And we ended up buying my original partner, Tom Hunter, out of the company in 2024. And Eric and I became the sole owners of the company.
So we're going to bring up Eric here in just a second. Actually, why don't you introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah, so Eric Street. I've been in the crane industry since 2003. I have always been in a technical support role most of my career, always on like the electronic or electrical side. And I came on board with a very large crane company where I did a lot of tech support. Eventually wound up in the training department. Everybody always called me Chatterbox as a kid, so I thought, what better way to earn a living than talking and meeting people, which I love to do. And I excelled pretty rapidly within the internal training department for this crane company. I was a technical trainer, then USA training manager. Eventually, I managed the technical training for what they at the time called Region Americas, which is North and South America. I had a large team with me. Eventually, things were changing within the company, and I ended up taking a different role and became an external training technical trainer where I traveled to customer locations, and that's where I met Jay Strande for the first time. And a funny story is Jay and I both had common acquaintances with each other, so we kind of knew each other before we met each other. So the first time I met this man, he comes up and literally in the hallway gives me a hug without even saying who he was and saying hello. But that was basically the framework of our relationship from that day on. And he wanted me to be part of the company at the beginning, but it was a big risk factor for me and having a family at home. But then eventually COVID happened and I got laid off. So that large crane company that we both work for decided to, lay quite a bit of the employees off, and I was one of those employees. And then that's when I made the decision, like, this is a right fit for me. Prayed about it. I felt comfortable. This is what I needed to do. And then I waited out my non-compete and then joined Jay there in 2021, like you had mentioned.
So with the company laying you off, you still had to have a non-compete that you couldn't?
Yeah, actually, to be honest with you, I don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah.
I just know this particular company is pretty aggressive when it comes to non-competes, and Jay and I, from the very beginning, wanted to make a decision to do things by the books and do things that was legally correct. And he wanted me to start earlier, and so did I, but at the end of the day, we felt it was the right decision to wait that out. And day one of the end of the non-compete, then that's when I started working for Qualified.
So, one of the things I love is that you brought up the idea of you're working for a company and that company theoretically laid you off. Like you were like the security there, but the security is never there, right? At the end of the day, it's all about taking that leap, the leap of faith that you need to be able to start a business and to do these things. And you obviously guys know exactly what you guys are doing, because you guys, just watching the explosion that you guys have had in the last 12 months that we've been working together. I'm very impressed on what you guys have done over the last year.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that being said, one of the things I like to always clarify with some of these things is that this is actually a company that we actually do business with as well. So you're actually doing work with Ken Cook as well, and we have a kind of a funny story on how we got together to actually work together as well. You guys have a gentleman by the name of Chris that works for you guys. I was kind of hoping he'd be here in this, but that's okay. But in this specific sense, Chris is with Qualified Crane Training, and we were also working with another company, Qualified Captain, which is qualified, and his name is Chris as well. And I was emailing him, and by accidentally you emailed your Chris in that conversation, which just simply he's like, hey, what do you guys do? What are the things you need? And lo and behold, about a month and a half later, all of a sudden we started doing business together. Yeah. So it's pretty amazing on how things kind of just can happen in this space today.
Yeah, meant to be.
Yeah, and I think it's been a pretty solid relationship over the last year. And happy anniversary, guys, as well.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, absolutely.
So in the crane training space overall, there's a lot of different things, certifications, safety, OSHA, all these different places to go. Do you guys have like a core mission or like core things you want to make sure you always get across when you're actually talking to a customer or delivering this training information?
Our core values are honesty, integrity, and quality. That's what we base this whole company on. And when I started this company, before I started it, I put the business plan together. And the most important thing was to have the best trainers possible. But not only just good people who know how to train and talk to people, but people who have walked the walk. People from the crane industry, people that were technicians, inspectors. They've actually lived and breathed cranes. Those are the type of instructors we wanted to have, not someone who was never been on a crane in his life but can talk really well to people. It's really important to us to be able to answer any questions that come up, whether it be about cranes or regulations or whatever it might be.
I'm glad you said that, because I'll give you an example. I'm an instructional designer at heart, and I've been asked by companies, hey, would you be willing to give this kind of training, go over the information and try to deliver it? But the truth is, I would never be able to do the kind of quality or effort that somebody that's been doing this for a long time, been a technician, been an operator, knows how to work these things. It's great that you're actually utilizing the people to give a high-level skill set too. It's very cool.
Yeah, we have about 15 trainers, some part-time, some full-time, and then some staff, salespeople, different things like that. And I think the last time we counted, there's about 700 years combined crane experience within the industry. And I mean, that's not me stretching the truth. That's probably, could be 10 or 20 years. We could have 10 or 20 years more than that. That's just us just ballparking it from talking to each of our staff members. And like Jay said, that is so important to us, because there's a lot of people in our space that deliver training that's never operated a crane. There's people that deliver inspection and maintenance training that's never been on one, never worked on a gearbox, never changed a wire rope, and we did not want that. We wanted to be known in the marketplace as being the most knowledgeable and also having a passion for safety. Many of our trainers and staff members have either seen or been involved in accidents, been around them, investigated them, so they know how important safety is to the crane industry, which is another one of the things we want to express to our customers, that safety is paramount, number one. And then when it comes to the training as a whole, meaning the delivery of the training, we literally have 3 training managers on staff. Myself was a training manager of North and South America. We have another training manager that was a training manager for the United States, and then another training manager that at the time was a global training manager, meaning this individual was responsible for technical training for technicians. For that company, for all countries within the world. So I mean, literally, we have the skills, we have the knowledge to meet our customers' needs. And another thing I want to point out too is that we really view our relationships with our customers as partnerships, meaning we never wanted to be a transactional based company, meaning, hey, I just want to buy this and then go away. No, we want to talk to our customers, find out their needs, and develop a partnership to where we're there to help support them with all their crane needs, not just on the training side.
Yeah, one of the things I've struggled with in the training industry right now, a lot of people, they build a lot of content and they say they're training, just putting out information, but they're not actually, it's very transactional, or it's very short term. Hey, I got this online course, I just did this, I'm done, it's now a completed transaction. and to be honest, the person on the other side didn't really learn anything. It's that whole content heavy, not really focusing on the actual skills that are needed for those people.
Yes.
And it seems like based on the type of training I've seen you guys deliver and have done so far, and the type of people you're working with, it's pretty amazing what you guys have been able to put out.
Thanks.
So that being said, there's lots of different certification programs and things like that, and things that are required from an OSHA standpoint as well. So tell me a little bit about the NCCCO requirements you guys handle.
NCCCO stands for National Commission for the Certification of Crane Operators. So it's a national certifying body. Anybody who operates a mobile crane in any type of construction has to have a national certification. There's a couple more out there, the CIC, there's NCCER. We happen to have 2 certified examiners, NCCCO examiners, on our staff. So we can deliver this training and this certification. But again, anybody who operates a mobile crane in construction has to have that national certification and that card. We offer general industry qualification training as well. So we're real big in the steel industry. A lot of mobile cranes running around, moving steel around. That's not construction. That's general industry. So we have a 2-day mobile crane class that can satisfy the requirements of OSHA and ASME. But again, when you're dealing with construction, it's a whole different animal. So, and we actually have customers that their maintenance team use it in general industry every day, but sometimes a construction need arises. So, for example, if the maintenance crew is taking down an air conditioner off the roof and replacing it with the mobile crane, and if they're taking down a 200,000 BTU air conditioner and putting up a 200,000 BTU because it stopped working, that's maintenance. If they take down a 200,000 BTU air conditioner and put up a 300,000, that's considered construction. You have to have that certification card. So there's a lot of gray areas in there, and that's again what Eric said before. We have 700 years experience on our staff.
Just call us.
Eric has directly written to OSHA several times and gotten letters of clarification that really had a huge impact on the crane industry. But again, people call me all the time, every day. Eric and I both get questions every day. If there's a question I can't answer or Eric can't answer, we have the staff that can answer it.
They can figure it out.
Yeah, and the key to this, the NCCO, is the biggest question customers have to ask themselves is, what are they doing with the crane? So most people understand that if I'm building a building and I have cranes on the yard, using it not in maintenance but to construct the building, that's going to be a requirement of NCCO, or there's 3 or 4 other national certification bodies. But the big question or the gray area is when they're using it on the general industry site. So they have to ask themselves, what am I doing with my crane? And what we advise a lot of our customers is that if there's ever a question mark, have at least one person on staff that's certified. And then if one of those functions you're using a crane for might be, like Jay said, swapping out a larger air conditioning unit, make sure the certified person is behind the wheel.
So what happens a lot, and I see in the industry, is a lot of false assumptions. Like companies think a check, like it's basically like, oh, this person got their certification in forklift or in crane or whatever it is, and they assume that's across the board. So how do you deal with that with these clients and customers? It seems like you have some things you just brought up a minute there, but what do you express to them to make sure they understand that one certification is not the solution to everything?
A big part of our job is education.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I think that sets us apart is we ask a lot of questions up front. I get a lot of calls and say, hey, Jay, we need NCCO certification for our mobile crane guys. Really, let's talk about this, okay? Why do you think you need that? Well, that's what I was told. Okay, and I get that a lot.
Sure. Somebody up above said it. Right?
Well, because somebody wants to sell them the class, and that's where we're different.
Right.
Like, we want to partner with them, and I mean, interrupt you, Jay, but
That's okay.
But we actually will turn customers away from us because we feel like, hey, you can actually save money and do this with another vendor, and we'll introduce them to the vendor, because it's not about, again, we don't want to be transactional based of just to sell a training class for the sake of selling a training class. We want to partner with our customers so that their operations are safer and their people can go home at the end of the day, and they're compliant as well. So
I always come back to I had fantastic parents. Okay, I grew up with my dad, saying things like, do one thing and do it better than anybody else. My mom had a lot of sayings, but that's kind of how I live my life, So our salespeople, I don't want to sell something that's not needed. I will not. Integrity is what we stand for. So, we talk to our salespeople, and if we do not want to sell a customer something they don't need. So I tell them, if you would sell this to your mom, you can sell it to our customers. That's really what it's about.
Your mom bought a lot of crane training?
I was, I started my business life at 22 years old. I opened up a Valvoline instant oil change center when I was 22. Didn't know a whole lot about it, but it was again about honesty and integrity. That's how I grew up. So I started that company. Didn't have a whole lot of business experience, but I knew honesty and integrity. So every month, Valvoline would put out a list of every Valvoline across the country, air filter sales, wiper blade sales, and I got a call from corporate headquarters in Lexington one day and said, "You're the last person. Your shop is the worst at selling air filters. Why is that?" Because I could see an air filter, and sometimes you could shake them out or blow them out with a air hose.
Yeah.
Okay, and put them back in. They're going to last another 2 oil changes.
Yeah.
So I take the air filter to the customer, and you could see them right away. They're like, "Oh boy, he's going to sell me an air filter." I say, "Just so you know, air filter's fine. I'm going to blow this out. You got another couple oil changes." Honesty. Yeah. Okay. All of a sudden, a year later, we're number one in air filters and every other service because we created that trust.
Nobody's saying no because they know they actually need it.
Yeah.
We're not going to sell it to you unless you actually need it. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
That's what separates us too, is we take the time up front to ask the right questions. People don't know what they don't know, and we're all there on certain levels. There's a lot that goes into these regulations. My partner here happens to be a walking regulation book. He can recite things that I don't know how he does it, but it's all about taking that extra time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, we have people here that are my ANSI people, my OSHA people that, hey, what do you mean? And they're like, this standard, and they list off the number and what it exactly is, and then all the things behind it. I totally understand. I could never remember a single one.
Yeah. He's really good at it.
Yeah. I just know like, hey, that's wrong. We need to fix that. Let me find that person, and they're gonna resolve that for you. I get that. I love the integrity part for the thing you're talking about from Valvoline. I literally just had this experience with a place that I get my oil change done, and I tip as soon as they walk in the door on these places. So I like, here's $20. Like, hey, please take care of me. Like, because
on the front side.
On the front side, as soon as I walk in, here's $20. Like, because it's a quick oil change, and we sit in the car. I'll be there for a half hour, whatever. And yeah, when they take out that oil filter, I'm like, if this is a good place, they're going to tell me whether or not. I was like, I just swapped that out. I was like, I literally swapped that out a month ago myself. I'm like, don't tell me I need this. You tell me I need this. We'll see how this goes. I won't be back. And yeah, lo and behold, there's those people that will tell you up front and make sure, because that's also how they make their money, right? That's kind of where they're earning it. So I'm not going to fault that person that's trying to earn a living as well by trying to sell me that filter, because they may make an extra $10 or $20 or whatever.
That's what it comes down.
But at the same time, hey, are they going to be honest with me and up front?
Right is right and wrong is wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the bottom line.
Yeah, I do love that. That's great. So I guess one of the things I love to do is I like to go through an entire transaction. So like I'm a company and I'm starting up in manufacturing. I'm bringing in a brand new place, and I have overhead cranes that are coming in to build out and stuff like that. I'm talking to you guys. How do I get started? What do I need to do to get my team up to speed to start doing the training for the cranes that are in the facility?
I'll let you.
What's that look like?
Oh yeah. So normally in that place, you're going to talk to a salesperson. So originally it was Jay. He was our main salesperson. I do some sales calls as well, but now we got Jay, me, 2 new salespeople that started in 2026, as well as our training manager, Chris Boynton, will also take sales calls. But it's that consulting part up front. So how many people do you have? What kind of cranes do you have? And if it's overhead, we have an off-the-shelf class. So we can grab an off-the-shelf class. We can offer that to the customer. And our class is standard. It's 1 day, 8 hours. And we like to keep the class size small. And we have had some confusion for many customers where they're used to having a crane operator class with 30, 40, or 50 people in it.
In the same class.
In the same class. And we will never go that route because you lose the one-on-one time with the students. And one of the things that's very important for us to help our customers understand is that the regulations have changed over the years. And now ASME, which is an OSHA adopted standard, B30.2, calls out very specifically the need for practical evaluation and written testing. You cannot perform in an 8-hour window practical training with one instructor and one student for 30 people. We found 10 is your sweet spot. 10 students. Sometimes we'll go one or two more, but again, it depends on the type of cranes they have. We have light lifting courses where if they have just chain hoist, we just do that. If they have overheads, we'll do overhead crane training. If it's a mobile crane, then it's completely different. It's a different type of discussion. So number one, consulting on the front side. How many people need trained? What kind of cranes do you have so we can match the course to their cranes and what their needs are, and then give them a quote. If the price is okay, we'll schedule it and complete the training. At the completion of the training, they get all the certificates and proof that the person took the class. And we also do something which is, I think, it's different than a lot of our competitors in the marketplace, is that we do a practical evaluation. So the student and the trainer initials and signs the bottom that they've demonstrated they can do specific things that are important to operate a crane safely.
I still get calls on a weekly basis where I talk to a safety manager that doesn't know that crane training is required. They had no idea. There's a lot of really great colleges and schools around that where these people come out with safety degrees, but they don't. They end up getting a job in a facility that has 50 cranes. They don't know the regulations that go along with it. So I get calls recently. Last month, I got a call from a person, a safety manager, and she asked me she wanted a quote to train 100 operators for overhead crane, and she needed it done in 2 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, per ASME and OSHA, there has to be a written and a practical exam. I couldn't even do the written exam in that time period. So we deal with different types of people too. Again, I come back to they don't know what they don't know. So, but we can't compromise and do something like that. There are certain safety managers who they know the box needs to be checked. I have to say that these people were trained. Okay, show them a video, do what it takes. Again, I come back to my dad: do it right or don't do it at all.
Yeah,
that's what I grew up with.
Yeah.
There has to be a written and a practical exam, and to pass that exam, you have to learn something. How do you do that without the classroom portion? So there's the safety managers who want to check a box and safety managers who want their people to go home at night in one piece.
Yeah.
And those are our customers.
And what we found is we've actually turned many customers away that wanted us to do the 2 hour, the 3 hour. We're just like, hey, we're just not the best fit for you. We're not gonna be able to give you a piece of paper that say your people are qualified.
They're paying to check a box.
Yeah,
right?
you're checking a box. Maybe we're not the right fit for you. And what we found is some of those safety managers were being dictated that time from the people above them in leadership. And once that safety manager left that company and went to a different company, who did they call for crane training at that company? They called Jay and Eric because they knew that we were going to do things the right way.
That's good. That's good. So you guys brought up that there's in the practical there's a handwritten portion of this as well.
Yeah, handwritten test. Yeah.
So in the handwritten test, I'm going to bring up something personal. I have dyslexia, so I struggle actually in those areas. Do you have a lot? What do you have of any?
Yeah,
kind
so
of
we have different languages. Right now we have English and Spanish for those that need Spanish training. But we also, in situations like that where we'll have the instructor read the questions to the written exam. We ran into that multiple times. In fact, I remember not as an owner, but as an actual trainer, the first time I experienced that, it was a technical class, and the person in the class was so knowledgeable that he could have taught it. He actually knew more about the product knowledge than what I knew, known as the trainer, but yeah, he totally bombed the exam. And he didn't want to tell me. And then finally I got out of him, what the problem was. I was like, man, I ain't tripping. Let's just do this again. Sat down and I read question by question, and he filled in the answers and probably ended up getting 100 on it. So yeah, we always take that type of situation to heart and make sure we do what we need to do for the students.
That's excellent. I mean, that's actually the reason I got into training is because I literally was struggling to try to understand and educate myself. So I'd go above and beyond, memorize as many things as possible so that when I got to something, I could try to at least put it out there at that time. That's great that you guys have that ability to do those things as well.
We don't want people to fail.
Yeah.
But it has
But
happened.
people can.
There have been a few instances where we had to go back to the customer and say, hey, whatever you do, find another job for this person. Just don't let them operate an overhead crane, because it's not a question of if something's going to happen, it's when. So we come across it, and we have to have that hard conversation with the customer, just find something else.
So,
it's rare,
this is one of those things that I preach heavily, is that it's okay to fail people. I can't preach it enough when it comes to training, because either A, the person is not paying attention because they don't want to be there to begin with, right? And we get those because this is forced upon training sometimes, right? We also get the person that just, it wasn't meant for them. It's just not their passion. It's going to cause an issue. Somebody's going to get hurt in the future, like you're saying right now. And there's nothing wrong with just simply saying, no, they didn't make it. I'm so sorry. There's other things you can do. This is one of the things I think is the biggest problem on the e-learning space right now, is that too many people like you can pass. Everybody can pass.
Yeah. Right.
Being allowed to fail is important, and being as long as we're actually truly educating and bringing people forward, I think that's important.
You never learn anything until you fail sometimes.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with failing.
No,
That's right.
Yeah.
And on the e-learning, we are getting into the e-learning space in 2026 as part of our
To be clear,
initiatives.
I love e-learning. And
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
right
no,
ways
no,
to
I
do
got
it.
you. I just want
to be clear,
let
it's a big part of our business. and
Yes,
what we
yes.
do.
Let everybody know that we're getting into e-learning. But anyone watching this video that's responsible for crane safety, you should not be using e-learning as the means to train somebody how to operate a piece of equipment. They need time with the equipment. They need a classroom instructor-led training to really learn what they need to for safety of that equipment. And one of the things when I came into this industry in the training side, both prior to being an owner and as an owner, that really, really surprised me is the differences between the perception of requirement for training on forklifts versus cranes. We can walk into a facility that has, say, 150 crane operators and 150 to 200 forklift drivers. The forklift drivers have detailed training. They have hands-on, they have checkbox, everything. But when it comes to cranes, it's like, hey, go over there and get paired with Billy. He'll show you how to operate the crane.
It's shadowing.
And when Jay and I are consulting with customers about this, I'll tell them, I say, would you let your teenage son go drive your car, like without any training whatsoever, without no license, and send him loose? Well, you're doing the same thing with a crane. You're letting him drive a crane, lifting loads over top of people's heads, without any sort of official training. And like Jay says, some of them think 2 hours is sufficient. It's not. You need a classroom-based training with a practical evaluation to prove that they can operate the crane safely before letting them do so.
But even though a new student driver, you're 16 years old, you're excited, you're going to go get your driver's license, okay? You take the written test and you pass it. That's the first, hey, I'm here.
Permit.
The permit.
Permit, yeah.
You go take your driving test and you pass it. Does that mean you're a good driver?
Yeah, good point.
You know what I mean? Does that makes you qualified, okay? Being good comes in time with practice. So that's how we look at the cranes too.
Yeah, I got 32 years of driving. I'm still not good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. In all honesty, but the way I learned is I actually took classes post, because I realized, like, after a year and 2 accidents at 16, I realized I should probably take some classes. I actually took driver's ed and actually went through actual courses. So to be honest, I mean, the reason I'm a safe driver today, I know I was joking, the reason I'm a safe driver today is because I took that extra step and those extra trainings that made me a good driver today, I feel, in those ways. So I wish we had that more for other things as well. It does drive me insane that in this day and age that we have pieces of equipment that are out there that the only requirement is you must give them some kind of education as the owner of a piece of equipment, not in cranes. In other types of equipment, there's no real rule that says that there's a certification or something that's required for these things. It's scary to me.
Yeah, I know.
I get it, but at the same time, it's super scary to me, like that you can literally take my future son or daughter that's 18 wants to go work, because all of them want to work in the industries that we're working in, is the truth. At least they're telling me that now. Maybe they're lying, but whatever. By the time they get there, they want to operate a skid steer, a scissor lift. They want to operate these cool pieces of equipment they see dad on all the time. Like, they want to be able to do that. I wish there was a better way to make sure there was proper training for them from the companies. I am going to train them. I am going to go through this stuff. I'm going to make sure they do these things. But I don't know if other people's kids are going to get that. And it really does scare me that doesn't exist.
Yeah, and I
everywhere.
think when I'm consulting with, they're talking to people that have that mindset. Like, it's just deep inside their DNA that they think that crane training is a 2-hour event. It's a check the box, and they don't understand. I always encourage them, go talk to a safety manager that had a death from a crane accident. Go talk to them. Go talk to a plant manager. Go talk to a wife that lost a husband because their crane because of a crane incident where it could have been prevented. I mean, people that's watching this video, you can Google. There's various studies that have been done. We talk about these studies. We do a lot of. Jay and I do a lot of shows like expos. We talk at events. We've talked at one of the largest automobile manufacturers in the United States. They have an annual safety event they always invite us to, one of the largest glass companies, steel companies. They bring us in to give an hour or more presentation, and I give the same presentation every time about crane safety, and I show statistics that shows up to 90% of all crane-related deaths, overhead crane-related deaths in this country was caused by human error. 90%. That means 90% of those people could still be alive today with proper training, holding them accountable, and equipping them to be successful and safe when operating them cranes.
Yeah, most of the time, unfortunately, it's the operator that makes those mistakes, and it could be because they weren't trained properly, or
complacency.
Complacency is a big
issue. You're doing this job for the last 30 years.
Yeah.
I saw a cartoon a couple months back, and there's a guy standing there, and it says 40 years in the crane industry and only one accident, and he's got one arm missing. That's what happens. You do the same job day after day, 5 days a week for 30 years. Now you're not looking around. You're not focusing anymore.
Yeah.
And that's when bad things can happen.
Yeah, when you're in the same place, the same location over and over again, you're kind of like zone out, right? I mean, I don't know how many times you've ever gotten in the car and all of a sudden you're at your office or your home or wherever it is. You're like, oh, how'd I get here?
Or you're in your car and you're on your phone, texting and Googling and stuff like that. That's being complacent. Well, as soon as you rear end somebody, you ain't going to be doing that for very much longer.
Yeah. That's one of the things I'm starting to see in a lot of these different pieces of machinery is cell phone holders where they can put the phone and you can still see it.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Have you met
I'm not sure either.
Have you met any or been to any sites where they use cell phone jammers?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, some of our customers
Yeah,
use cell phone jammers out on the floor.
There's a couple of construction companies we work with, and they have locker systems, which I think are just the smartest thing ever. I do also get, like, these guys are in some of these machines or cabs and things like that for a long period of the day, and then being able to play their music while they're doing something. There's nothing wrong with that. I think it adds a little bit, because they have to have blocking their noise in their heads already, because then all the noise that's happening around them, having some other piece of audio to come through. I don't hate that. I wish it would just be like, again, anything you can do to remove any kind of distraction. I'm a firm believer of remove those things from that place. So, so one of the cool things that I know that I'm personally passionate about, and I know you guys have started to get into, is VR training.
Yes.
So I have been a part of this committee and community on the VR and AR side for quite some time. What are you guys doing on the VR side?
You want to take that one?
Sure. We have partnered with a company called Global Sim out of Salt Lake City, Utah. They got their start in the military. Part of it, they were training people on F-16s in the virtual world and all kinds of military equipment. And I met them, must be 9-10 years ago. Really hit it off with Jonathan, who's the president of the company. Looked at the VR. I looked at several VRs, at least 8 or 10 of them. A lot of them make you dizzy, kind of make you sick. This one didn't. I put it on, I loved it, and we decided to partner with him. So we're his crane industry partner. Right now he has overhead crane, mobile crane, forklift, and they're working on certain things like die flipping for the automotive industry and stuff like that. But they do a fantastic job.
Yeah, it's
and
remarkable.
It's such a great tool, okay? It can be used to prep people for training. I put it on one day, and I was loading a truck, okay, with steel beams, and I tipped the truck over because I loaded it wrong, and you could see it. It happens. You could feel it. So as a training tool, it's a great thing. We've installed these at some of the biggest automotive manufacturers in the world, that they use them on a daily basis. Even before we come in to do the training, they're going to put their people on the VR. These are going to be crane operators. Let's see how you do. They have to run through a course. They get timed. It measures how many mistakes they've made. And you got guys and girls who whiz through it. Hey, these are going to be great operators. So as a training aid, it's a great thing.
Yeah, it should never replace instructor-led training. And I'm not sure legally how ASME and
Not yet.
I don't know that they're going to do that. Yeah. But the great thing about VR is, like Jay mentioned, if you've got a group of people that want to become operators, you put them through VR first, and if they pass with flying colors, then now you say, okay, you're ready to go to the classroom-based training. If they completely bomb the VR world, why would you want to waste the investment, putting them in the classroom, sending them out on the line with a mentor when you know they're not cut out for it? And what's really cool about Global Sim is they've got various products, like Jay mentioned. One of the products they offer, they can come to your facility and completely scan your crane line. So it's got your machines, your conveyor belts, your racks, everything is in there. So in the VR world, it literally looks like one of your cranes, your areas. Or you just purchase one of the off-the-shelf classes. And one of the things that Jay and I and Global Sim has found a success is the latest product he has that came to market last year is you actually buy a subscription-based product. So instead of many of the other people in the VR world, you're buying
Like leasing it, or
well, basically you got to buy. You can buy your own hardware, buy the hardware from them, but you're just paying one fee per year for a license to operate, to have the VR software for all of the stuff Jay mentioned: mobile cranes, forklifts, container handling, overhead cranes, all that type of stuff. Where other competitors, you buy each one of those individually. Where at Global Sim, you can get it all for a much cheaper, instead of a huge upfront cost. You just pay the
you're
subscription
paying a seat
cost.
fee. And
You're
stuff
paying
like that.
it. Well, it's a subscription cost that you can put as many people through it.
Oh, it's by the
Oh,
unit itself.
yeah.
by the unit.
You're buying. You have the hardware, but it's all running in the cloud. So it's not the software is not residing on a computer. It's just all online based, and you're paying for the ability to do that. And then another thing that is really sets them apart, which is why Jay and I partnered with them instead of other suppliers, which we've had opportunities. There's a couple people that met with Jay and I from an Indian company that really wanted to promote their product, and when we sampled it, it was nowhere close to what Global Sim is because of one key thing. It was called the scenario editor. So other companies, what they do is if you want to change something, like put a truck here, put a person here, then you call them and they charge you to do that. Sure. Where with Global Sim, you own all of that. So you have on the backside a scenario editor that can reorganize the layout of the area that they're operating in the VR. Absolutely. Like and what we always tell customers, I say, if you have VR and you have an incident that takes place, a guy with a crane hits a forklift driver, you can recreate that same scenario in the VR and have all your operators go through that scenario. In the software itself, the system, you can create like I don't want to say exams, but they're lessons. They call them lesson plans. So they literally have to go into this VR world and perform specific tasks. Like Jay said, load a truck. So you have 3 dies. You got to put the die on the truck, and you have to do it safely. And it watches. It knows if you had load swing, and then it gives a report that then can be added to that student's file within HR that he completed that exercise or that lesson, or else he failed. So pretty exciting stuff.
I've seen a couple of companies now start utilizing it as a way to recruit. So like in the
really?
onboarding process, like where their very first week, or they're even possibly looking at like, do I actually accept this person to even come work there? Essentially, like, hey, go through this simulation. And most people are excited to go through something with VR and going through that stuff. So like at a job fair, they'll put it on some of the kids and stuff like that ahead of time and stuff like that. So they're like, 17, 18, about to go to the next, either leave high school or go to the next level, go to college or go out into the fields, right? Utilizing that as a way for them to at least, hey, this person understands it, this person gets, and then take them to the next step and then bring them
that's
to those
the way
other
we
things and
promote
to
it,
those
yep.
things. Because that way they know this person,
Great idea.
they've got an idea to get started here.
And these young kids are so into the video games and stuff. It's fun for them.
It's a great recruitment tool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I love it.
And a lot of people, when we have these conversations, say, well, old school people that are against VR, because we have it all the time. We'll do demos at customer sites, and some of the veteran operators will come in and they actually get really upset because they say this is replacing training. And we always tell them, say, no, it's not replacing training, and they say this is never going to be as good. You're right, but this is a supplement. But and we share this story all the time. The owner of Global Sim, his name is Jonathan. He has never operated a crane in his life. Okay? Mobile crane. So opens up the company and decides, I'm going to create NCCCO certification class within the VR. So he creates it. He goes through all the lessons plans. So never drove a real crane in his life. Passes the exams and everything within the VR world.
The
written schedules a practical exam in the real world and passes with flying colors. So the first time the man ever sat in the seat of a mobile crane was when he did his NCCO certification. And those of you that are watching this video, that ain't no joke.
Yeah.
That is not a joke. If you pass NCCO or NCCR or any of those other national certification exams, it's a big deal. So that right there told me how powerful VR can be as a learning tool, as a supplement to instructor-led and practical type evaluation type training.
There's a lot you can do with VR, and just because a person's older doesn't mean they don't want to. I always try to bring this up. Like I'm close to 50 at this point, and I am heavily invested in VR for myself personally. but I know not everybody else in my family can't wear them. Like they get dizzy, they feel sick,
Yeah.
and motion sickness. So it's not meant for everybody.
It's weird.
Right?
It's odd
Yeah.
when you get in there and take it back off. You got a little bit of a
Yeah, I mean, you could actually ask all my associates and stuff because I live in a VR helmet the entire time. My office,
really?
If I'm in the office, there's a solid chance I have a helmet on the entire time where I'm doing work and I have multiple screens up or running multiple things up. Yeah.
What do you use it? What
Well, in this case, I have an Apple Vision Pro.
Apple Vision Pro.
And I live in it, and so it's something I'm heavily invested in, and I do a lot of work. And there's so many capabilities, not just simply from a training side, but also post training as well.
Yes.
So that you can utilize these things with as well. So
there's post incident too, like I mentioned before. Like there's so much stuff you can do with it. It's a great tool for many companies to have, and I think, at least from our perspective, the price is coming down.
Yeah.
You go back 10 years ago when VR first entered again the crane industry. I don't know outside the crane industry. You're talking a capital expenditure to purchase this stuff. Where now, I mean, I don't even know. I don't want to throw a number out there without having it on paper. But put it this way: most of the people we deal with definitely would have enough approval to approve a PO, an annual PO for the subscription for a global sim product.
The truth is, like, it's replacing simulators. It's not replacing training. It's replacing simulators, right? Because you can buy crane simulators and things like that.
Yeah, they're out there.
And you're going to spend $25 to $100K on a simulator, whereas you can put this in a VR headset. You can make it a much more affordable cost. And still have all the functionality and features. You can even integrate it to tool sets as well. So where you can have the joysticks, things like that.
All that's available.
Into it as well. So I just look at it as a way to kind of step back, reducing the cost. So you don't have to giant screens and a giant booth you step into. I can just put it over my head, and now I've got things in front of me. I think it's a fantastic resource. So I guess what would you say is the perfect client for you guys? Like who's the person that, like, God, if I had to say this is the perfect person that should talk with us or work with us.
Oh, I mean, position-wise.
Yeah.
Bar none is going to be a safety manager.
Okay.
And I think the reason that is the industry as a whole, not just the crane industry, but I mean just general industry, general factories. At least when I started in my career, all of training fell under HR. Okay. Well, eventually HR developed the safety department, and they moved training away from the HR manager and gave all training over to the safety manager. And then the next person, would you say, would be who? After a safety manager?
Maintenance manager.
Yeah.
I would say.
Facilities, things like that.
Facilities and maintenance.
Yep. 95% of the time, I deal with safety managers. They're the ones responsible for people going home. So, yeah.
Okay. So, if a person is, let's just say, like, your perfect company that you'd want to deal with right now. I know you guys deal with a lot in the automotive industry and things like that. Who are some of the companies you think would be perfect to work with you guys?
Anyone that has a crane.
My apologies. So, like, you want to work with more of the manufacturers, or are you looking for more of the like construction side, or are you looking for more like where are those?
So
where's that sweet spot?
That's a very good.
That's a very tough question.
Yeah. So really, it depends on what their needs are, and the reason I say that is we're like so far we've been talking a lot about crane operators, but crane operator training is only one part of our business. Okay. The one thing we definitely need to mention is that it's just two of us own the company, so we're not a corporation. So we're a large enough business to meet our customers' needs, but small enough that they have access to talk to the owners. Right? We don't sell cranes, we don't sell rigging, we don't sell anything other than training for mobile or overhead cranes, or consulting services for those two industries. But in addition to operator training, we do maintenance training, inspection training. Specific OEM-based training. We're the sole provider of training for some of the top OEMs within the crane industry in North America. Brakes. We have a lot of different specific training. So it really depends on the customer's needs. The other thing we didn't talk about is that we literally, as a company, have an entire department dedicated to custom training development. Now, what that means is a lot of our customers come to us and they say, Jay, Eric, I've been buying crane training for my operators for 20 years, and I'm kind of getting tired of off-the-shelf classes. Do you guys offer something where you can tailor the training to my needs? And our answer is always
yes, absolutely.
So what we do is we come in, we consult with them, we go on their site, find out what's their policy, what does it say, take pictures of their people, their cranes, and their logos. Literally, their marketing department will give us a branding guide that shows how we're supposed to use the colors, how we're supposed to use the logo, and then we develop a custom course for them and give it to them, and it's their intellectual property. Okay, and I don't know if there's any other vendors in our marketplace that can do that. And if they can, I would say they probably can't do it as effective as what we've been able to do it. So I know it was a long response to your question, but really it depends on what the customer needs.
So-
If they need maintenance training, then we're going to talk to a maintenance manager. If they need operator training, it's probably going to be a safety manager.
And it's where their pain points are too.
Yeah.
You know, we've developed custom training where they had, you know, let's say they had 12 near misses, you know, and an amputation in the last 2 months. Well, there's a problem here. Let's dive deeper into this. Let's develop the custom training, but identify your pain points and let's train on those. You know, well, let's put your scenarios into your training.
Okay.
So
The idea of custom it's obviously a part of our business, so that's a core focus for
Big time,
us.
yeah.
Is to customize and build out for those different customers and things like that. So that we don't want off the shelf for us. We want to be able to make sure we offer a specific custom version for every single person for what we're doing. We don't do the crane side. Obviously, that's what you guys do. But one of the things that you guys brought up is the operators we'll be talking about so much. But what about, you talked a little bit about technicians.
Yeah.
We really haven't talked about like that side of the business. Is that a core focus for you guys as well?
It's huge.
Yeah.
it's gotten bigger and bigger.
I would say it's 40% of our business and growing.
Okay. So what do you guys do to train technicians? Because now you have to train
Yeah.
at a whole other level where you're talking about hydraulics, you're talking about electrical, you're talking about.
Absolutely.
So what does that
So
look like? Yeah.
our customer base in that area is twofold, meaning we actually train crane crews. So the steel industry, for example, I would say is the biggest industry from a crane perspective that still has crane crews, meaning they literally have a group of men or some women some women that will go up on a crane to either inspect it and maintain it, do maintenance and stuff. Other industries like automotive, I can't think of one automotive plant in this country that still has a crane crew. They subcontract all that out to other crane service companies. But we train both the crane crews at like the steel mills, but we also can train crane service companies and their technicians. And a lot of larger crane companies, like where Jay and I came from, they have large training departments, meaning they're large enough that they can have enough revenue to basically house an entire training department to train their technicians. Well, what about the small to medium-sized companies that they just don't have enough resources to basically hire trainers, to develop content, to train their people? Well, that's where we come in. We can come in and help train them, and we've partnered with many, like
At least a dozen.
different small to
manufacturers,
medium-sized crane manufacturers
companies,
where we train their technicians how to maintain a crane electrically, troubleshoot, how to read prints, how to inspect a crane, which our inspection class, I think, is one of the best ones out there on the market today.
We've heard that there's been so many pains in the industry, and one of them for the crane company is finding good technicians. Okay, people who do it right. So they might hire a person that has a lot of mechanical experience, but they have no electrical. Well, that's where we come in. You know, we have an electrical maintenance class that's focused on cranes. We have VFD classes where we can teach you how to fix and reset and repair VFDs. We have print reading, both American and European prints. So this is the 85% of the time if a crane goes down, it's something electrical. So you need to know what you're talking about, how to troubleshoot, how to read prints to find that problem. So it's making the people out there inspecting everybody's cranes and repairing cranes better. That's our job. We're pretty proud of that. That they're coming to us.
About how many technicians do you think you guys have trained so far?
Oh, I don't know. It's a lot.
Thousands.
Maybe not thousands.
I'd say
it's guys somewhere between
technicians?
600 and 800 probably.
That's
Oh,
a
for
lot.
crane companies only.
Yeah.
For crane companies only, yeah. But as far as crane crews, yeah, we're constantly doing it.
Yeah.
That's
They're considered technicians and inspectors on the crane crews.
Yeah. So I guess in that side of things, one of the things that you just brought up was like people are struggling to find technicians, right? I have a couple feelings on this, and feel free to either get against or for or something like that. I think one of the biggest problems we have in our industry is that we're not paying these people enough.
Oh, 100%.
You expect these people to come in and make what they can make at McDonald's to fix out and work on these different pieces of machinery that do take a high level of intelligence to understand, to fix, to work on, and you're physically hurting your body to do these things on top of that as well. What are your thoughts on that, guys?
I agree.
It's dangerous too.
Yeah.
It's extremely.
No, I agree 100%. And I have a little catchphrase I use a lot when I have this conversation. And I'll tell customers, I'll say, you know, if you have a faithful auto mechanic, he's worked on your car for 20 years. He can fix a car blindfold. He can take an engine out of an F-150 and put another engine in there without, hands down, no questions asked. He's very skilled. Do you think without no training, no certification, no experience whatsoever, you're comfortable with him going up on your crane to tell you whether or not your crane is safe to use? And that's a huge issue I see personally, and Jay agrees with me, for our industry, is like there's a lot of people want to check a box that says, yep, OSHA says I have to do a monthly inspection, a frequent. Yep, OSHA says I got to do a periodic, which we call in the industry, your annuals. So I'm just going to hire anybody. I have no idea if they're qualified, or I'm going to let Billy Bob, whoever from my maintenance crew that's a good auto mechanic, I'm going to let him go up on my crane and tell me that it's safe to use. So you're taking that person's word that's never been trained, has no idea what the tolerance levels are for air gaps on brakes, how many broken wires are allowed on a wire rope. He's never been taught or seen a picture of a bad component to know how to identify it, but you're taking his signature, checking a box, and handing the remote to an operator and say, go ahead and operate that crane. Go ahead and lift that 60 tons over top of everybody else's head because the untrained person said that it's safe to use. So if there's anything that Jay and I can do to help change our industry for the better is getting that message out there. Like, make sure you're using people to inspect your cranes and maintain them that are trained and qualified to do so.
Well, it's not even about the safety of the people, which is, yes, a core value of it as well, but also the cranes are expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah, to maintain,
so if you're not, if maintaining it is way less costly than replacing it or fixing it, right?
Yeah.
So and when a crane's down or not functioning, your business is down, right? As part of that process as well. So
we have customers that, key customers that if their main crane goes down, it's $1 million a day.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So 5 days is $5 million. That's unbelievable to think that way, but it is.
Yeah,
crazy.
And again, this is my thought process behind this on the technician side. Like I can't find good technicians. No, you're just not paying them enough is the truth.
Oh yeah,
and that's what I keep telling people. Like, no, you're just not paying them enough.
That's been a really big thing in the industry lately. I had a conversation with somebody last week and said,
there's quality technicians.
We lost 2 technicians because they offered them $5 an hour more.
To go to a competitor,
to go, there's got to be some kind of loyalty, but you got to do something to keep your people there too.
Yep.
Our trainers are our family. It's a warm, fuzzy feeling. It's just the way it is. That's what we built. I'd be disappointed if we lost trainers over a couple $, but that's the way this industry is. New crane training or crane company comes into play. They need technicians. What are they going to do? What's the easiest way to do?
Steal them from other companies.
Steal them from somebody else.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And they're starting $40 an hour when they were making 29. Just to take everybody. So.
And it's also, I will say this: it's also what are customers willing to pay? And in my opinion, what's happened in the industry in the last 10 years is you used most cranes. You go back 10, 15, 20, but definitely 20 years ago, the 90 to 95% of all the cranes had a couple contactors, a motor, some wires.
Very different.
No safety gear, no electronics, no PLCs. And you look at the cranes today, and my gosh, you need an engineering degree just to actually turn the dumb things on. But what happened is the people that are buying these cranes are still wanting to pay the same amount of money for maintenance and inspections than they were on the simple contactor control cranes. And there's a disconnect that's not necessarily, in my opinion, the fault of the industry or the service companies. It's the fault of the customers not understanding. If you want to have a skilled person maintain this newer crane that you paid a bunch of money for with all these safety features on it, you need that skill level is a different skill level than just troubleshooting a basic contactor control crane. So you need to pay more for that person to do that. And then the people who hire and train those individuals need to pay that individual more because he or she has that skill to work on those cranes.
Yeah, one of the things I've always preached to everybody that has a program that does some kind of training internally, like, hey, we're going to train these people up and then they're going to leave. Well, put a graduation program into it. What is that person actually worth? If that person's putting in the effort, the time to learn these different things, and then shows you the results that are at quality, give them more. Give them the things they need to be able to stay there long term.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you put some investment in one of these technicians, they're willing to put that effort in the line and willing to stay in that same company for long, as long as you're willing to do the same for them.
Yeah, and train them.
Yeah.
As a man, one of the worst things as a man, I can't speak for all men, but I'm sure you'll agree with me, is when you feel like you can't accomplish something and you are working on a crane and you have no idea what to do. You have no idea how to fix it, and you know that customer is depending on you, and you have to get down out of that scissor lift and go talk to that customer and tell them, I'm sorry, I can't fix your crane. And the customer's going to ask you why. Well, because I don't know how. You know what I mean? That's a hard thing to have to say to admit to one of your clients. And how do you keep that from happening? Well, train your people.
Yeah.
Teach them, give them the skills they know to be successful at your customer sites.
So that brings up one of my favorite questions I always like to ask is if you could only fix one thing in the industry today, what would it be? And take your time. There's no rush on that one. It's just always one of those things. There's so many issues and so many problems you were trying to solve. But if you could pick one thing like this
Yeah.
could just be resolved, what would that be?
I know what he's going to, I'm going to segue Jay in. I know he's going to agree with me. The number one thing is rigging. So our industry, if you really dig deep into the accidents, they're happening and people are dying because of rigging training. I've already mentioned before that crane operator training is decades behind the forklift training. Well, guess what? The requirement of rigging training is a decade behind the crane training. And I'll let Jay share his story, mention it, because it's a powerful story that really will wake people up. And it's one of the things that convinced him to open the company.
This was a life changer for me, which is one of the biggest reasons that I started this company. I worked for a crane service provider, and I was a service manager. And one of my jobs was to meet with customers and go over, things that needed to be fixed on their cranes. So I met with the owner of a concrete company. They made large things out of concrete. And we're going over some things that needed to be repaired. And while we were doing that, I noticed, out in the shop that they had a big rigging rack, about 12 feet long, made out of wood with the straps and slings and wire rope slings and shackles and everything on this rigging rack. Well, per the regulations, that equipment has to be inspected at minimum annually or periodically, periodic rigging inspection. This was on a Wednesday, and on Thursday, it happened to be that he was due for his annual inspection on the cranes. So I told the owner of the company, I said, hey, you know what? I got an inspector coming tomorrow to inspect the cranes. I can have him inspect that rigging rack. We'll, go through everything. It'd probably take a couple hours, and probably cost a couple $100. He says, no, I don't want to spend the money. We'll handle that in-house. And so I get to work on Friday morning at 7 o'clock, and my phone's ringing. And I answer the phone. He says, hey, Jay, so-and-so from, where I was the other day. He said, I need my inspection report. And I said, whoa, this takes a little time to get this through the system, get the results from the inspector and, put it together. He says, well, I need it by 9 o'clock. I said, that's pretty quick. It's 7 o'clock, and you need it. I said, is there a reason? He said, yeah, OSHA's on their way in here. And I said, was there an incident? He said, yes. I said, is everybody okay? He said, no. Still gets me. This was 10 years ago. One of those pieces of rigging equipment failed and killed a 27-year-old guy with 2 kids of his own. For $200. That's why we do what we do.
It's so hard to see and to witness these things and to know that it could have been resolved so simply. Mm-hmm. I've been in this industry for just 10 years myself personally in this side of the business. I was in tech and IT before, which had nothing. There was barely any safety issues or problems and things like that other than like what you got to see online and things like that. And when I came over here and I got to see some of the videos or the things that happened and that were very easily fixed, always crushed me. And hearing things like that, Jay,
Yeah, it's not an isolated story. There's many of them.
There's too many.
Too many.
Too many of them.
It's amazing that still happens today, to this day.
I tell my trainers, we just love them so much, these guys, and they're saving people's lives. Yeah. They'll never know until they're sitting in the big man's hand, and he's going to say, "You guys did a great job. You took that time to do that training right, and you saved this this many lives by doing what you're doing.
Yeah, because you can't justify when the incident didn't happen, right? Like you can't justify.
Yeah, no, it's happened. It's
Yeah.
there. It's not. You know,
Yeah.
it's not fake. It's not fake news. It's a real person, a real death.
And it's not like you can also stop every incident from happening overall, because sometimes
no.
things fail or things
Yes,
break and things like that, right? But you can, from an operator or from a maintenance standpoint, make sure that those things are covered ahead of time
And-
to make sure that people can get a chance to go home. Doesn't
Absolutely.
mean some freak accident or something else that we can't stop, and that's fine. It is what it is. We did what we could.
That does happen. But
yeah.
when it comes to rigging,
Yeah.
rigging is supposed to be inspected pre-use. So if you're an operator and you're going to rig a load, your job is to inspect that piece of rigging pre-use. Okay? In a perfect world, our rigging training, we have an inspection portion of our rigging training. You need to know how to inspect this rigging. Is it good or is it bad? Should I use it? Should I not? And in a perfect world, there would be no bad pieces of rigging equipment anywhere on a floor if everybody was trained on how to inspect it. And these accidents would go way down, and the fatalities way down. So, we can only do it one operator at a time.
So when you say like in these facilities, do you think then anybody, like even if they're not an operator, they should be also like understand how to do it? Or
they should not be allowed to operate a crane unless they've been trained. Not because Eric and Jay say so, but because the law says so. And it's just, again, why would you let someone drive a car that's never been trained? I have a 4-year-old at home. I'm not gonna let him get out my car and drive my car. He's not. I mean, he's just not old enough, not skilled enough. So why would you take somebody that's never been trained and then set them loose to operate a piece of equipment?
Why do you let someone use a piece of rigging equipment if they don't know how to inspect it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I want to say this is a big issue. Some of our top customers, which are some of the biggest names in the crane industry, as far as they have cranes and and within their own industry, we'll go there to do hands-on, and every sling, like slings that are currently being used to lift thousands and thousands of pounds in the air to move across their factories, I could put an entire finger through a round sling, or I can look at a chain link and it looks like it's a couple of the links are half cut. I mean, this is stuff that's just everywhere.
you should see it very easily.
Yeah. And so again, it's just, if we can bring any attention to something within our industry that can help save lives, it's rigging.
Well, guys, I think this is a great stopping point to kind of talk about it. If you wouldn't mind doing me a favor, one of the things I'd like to do is always make sure, how do people find you? What are some of the things that you want them to go look for? So obviously, how to find you from your website, email addresses, things like that. But also, like, where are you going to be next? Like, if you're going to be at a show or you're going to be doing something or anything like that, just let them know.
Yeah.
We're doing an extra show, manufacturer show this week in Wisconsin in West Bend tomorrow, which is Wednesday and Thursday. We were asked to speak at the AIST Crane Symposium for the 3rd year in a row. That's going to be in Pittsburgh coming up in June. We do a lot of safety shows because, again, we're a training company, but we are a safety company. It's all about safety and people going home. So you can find us on LinkedIn. You can find us on Facebook. Yep.
Our website,
So-
qualifiedcranetraining.com.
QualifiedCraneTraining.com, and I assume you have
Number.
hyperlinks to your social media there.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Hyperlinks
Yep.
are there, social media. Yep.
Excellent. And if they want an email address or anything like that, is there?
Yeah, it's first name Eric Street, STREET at Qualified Crane Training, and
Jay Strande, STRANDE, Strand with E at qualifiedcranetraining.com. Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
absolutely.
Cool.
Thanks for being our partner.
Yeah.
You
Thanks,
guys
guys.
rock.
Thanks.